Hello, and welcome to the Cosmic Healing Podcast. This is Vaughn and Dana.
Hi,
everybody. And we are live in person, in studio. In my studio here outside of Atlanta. Sounds so professional.
Yes, so
in my
professional.
studio in Atlanta.
So
We're here
professional.
together in person. But we are in person because we just hosted an epic retreat day yesterday.
It was so good.
Oh my gosh. We hosted the Witchy Woman Day retreat and it was really incredible. And Dana drove in from Charlotte and she did so much. She read tarot for everyone and she led us through a guided regression. So do you call it like a past life regression or just a regression? I feel like it's just a regression,
You
right?
know, I used to call it past life regression, but then I started noticing that my clients wouldn't always go to a past life, that they would have experiences with their guides or with someone who passed away. So I just kind of chopped off the past life part because
I feel that because even when we were in discussion yesterday, post experience and sharing not everyone had a past life experience. So I really do love that you're cutting that part off because it really is true. But everybody dressed up in like their fun little witchy selves.
They looked amazing.
Seeing everybody's outfit was so fun, and just the energy of the day, it was so easy. It was so in flow, and it was like it's always the perfect amount of women. And it's so fun for me to be someone that hosts experiences, to be able to trust, and just like detach from any like who's gonna come, will it fill up? Like I literally have so much faith and trust in classes and retreats and experiences that it's just like, and if I can stay in that energy, and of course I am a human, and it's so easy for me to be like, oh my God, like what if nobody signs up or nobody has signed up or blah, 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 and get caught up in the and then at the same time, like reminding myself, right? Like, and I get to come right back to that self-trust and the trust in spirit that I create, because everything I create is so spirit-led. So if it's downloaded to me to create an experience, I have to trust that it's who's drawn to it is going to show up, and that if they're meant to be there, they will be there. And I feel like yesterday, because there were, as always, people that like back out, but as soon as a couple people don't show up, a few other people do show up, and it's always just like incredibly perfect. So I want to share that, just as a side note for people that may be on the brink of wanting to create experiences, like in-person experiences or even online experiences, and just trusting that what you are creating is a creation of yours, and to have that trust and foundation that who is meant to be there will be there. And even if nobody comes, then that in itself is a beautiful experience and something you needed to experience. So, because trust me, I've been on all sides of it where I've had 0 people, 3 people, 30 people, and I'm just like, okay, but either way, it's always perfect. So thank you, Dana, for your contribution to the day yesterday. It was truly a day of magic, and I feel like that day deserves its own podcast, like where we kind of discussed. I mean, I guess we can kind of poke around on it really quick, just because the lay of it, like we did the past life regression first, and then we were creating little spell jars, and then we went into my portion, which is the Lilith inspired breathwork journey. And Dana, I personally do not know much about Lilith except for what her energy feels like in my body when I channel her, but I didn't know a lot of her backstory and her history. But when I was creating this, I felt her energy being like, I'm going to be at this Witchy Woman Day retreat. And she showed up. Her energy was there and showed up. And Dana educated us and schooled us. So it was so nice to be able to really understand the energies that we were working with on a deeper level going into the healing and activating ceremony. Because, and I'm trying to come around to calling my experiences ceremony.
Well, they are.
Because
Yeah.
it is so ceremonial. But for so long, I called it class, mainly because I didn't feel like I was doing it in like I wasn't giving it the reverence that a ceremony deserves, right? But now I understand that I host ceremonies.
You do.
I host ceremonies guided by our breath, our body. It is channeled from the divine. Like, it is just the most beautiful experiences. And it's still like when I'm in these experiences, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like within 5 minutes, we are deep in a portal. Like, if you've been with me, especially within the past year and a half or so, you know like what happens when we're together in ceremony within 5 minutes. It is like the most shocking to me. I'm like, holy shit, like this is a thing.
Drop right in.
Yeah, and then it's like transformation happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing we did was my friend America, she led us through, each person got like a little crystal ball.
Oh, so
and it
cool.
was so cool. And she led us through like this meditation to connect to the crystal ball. And then that was like a keepsake, like just a gift for everyone that showed up. And yeah, so it was like literally the perfect day.
It was like fun and light, but also deep and healing, and just everything in between.
Yeah.
Community, all of it.
Yeah. Oh,
perfect.
I loved it. It just makes me more and more just obsessed with in-person experiences. Like, that really is, I mean, virtual experiences are amazing, but when we can come together and hold and touch and feel and cry together and hold each other as we're crying or screaming, or just the portal that creates, it's just like insane. It's so beautiful. So just in person, I really think in-person events and experiences are more and more where it's going, because that's how we're going to heal the world.
Yeah,
Is
well,
through
and
each
we're
other.
ready.
Yeah,
We're ready too. I mean, COVID made it so we had to adapt and do things online,
Right.
but I feel like we are just
emerging. Yeah, like
we're ready for this
we're
again.
So ready. Yeah, it's like from the hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's like we're even more. It's like that suppression of ourselves just made us even more ready to emerge in a greater capacity.
It had to happen because we needed to be reminded of what it's like to be separate from one another, so that we could be invigorated to create in person.
All in divine orchestration, right?
That's right.
So, holy moly, girl, here we are looking at November. I am in shock, truly. October, I don't think I've said this about every month, but October really feels like one of the fastest months of this year.
Yeah. It felt so fast.
It was way fast. And because I guess now leading up to the holidays, like every week, every weekend is busy and we're accounted for, and then that's going to be, so it's like we're literally in the tail end of this.
Yeah.
So how was your October?
It was, well, it started off with the hurricane.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have so much to talk about.
Yeah. So, I really feel like that lighthouse card that we pulled last month. I mean, just so interesting with lighthouses being associated with water and flooding. It was almost like more literal than I even realized that it would be. So the month started off for me with a lot of like humanitarian work and volunteering and trying to help out the people in my own community, because everyone knows about the mountains, but there were 3 streets behind my neighborhood, 80 homes, that were flooded. Wow. And it was not talked about even on our local news.
Wow.
No, I mean, it was
because they were on that river the
Catawba River.
Yeah.
So
like Lake Lure, right? So that's that same water flow that
Lake Hickory, Lake Lure, all of those lakes flowed down into the Catawba River right behind my house and flooded 80 homes. And so it's just interesting because I had other plans for the beginning of October, but you go where you're needed, and it was an important thing for my family and for my kids.
Yeah. And the way you showed up was huge. Like I feel like it was so good to be able, I know that's where I really love to donate funds was to you, because I was like, I know that this is going to go and be used properly in a way of like integrity, right?
Well, yeah, and it went directly to people. It was like I was meeting people, they were telling me what they needed. I need diapers, size whatever. I would go to the store and get them with the money that had been donated to me, deliver that. So it truly was like exactly going directly into the hands of the people who needed it. And so that was a cool experience though, to be able to meet that need, because in other natural disasters, I've just donated funds and it's like, well, I don't know where that went. I hope it gets used. So it was actually really cool to like be a part
and
of
so
that.
bonding for your community.
Yeah.
You know, like really for so many communities, like the devastation that has happened and just the catastrophes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, things are really catastrophic that are happening around all over the world, you know, that we don't even hear about. So that's one thing where social media is, you know, because I was going to say it's such a good thing because we understand, we have more clarity around what's happening in the entire world. But then there's also, oh my gosh, the division.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much opinions, so many opinions that were
and not all based in truth either, you know.
Yeah, so it's like you really don't know who to believe when you're hearing these stories. Like even people that are on the ground that are like, well, this is what I'm experiencing. Then other people are like, this is what I'm experiencing. You know, so it's like, what is it really? Who's, you know, what is it really like?
I know. It's hard to know. And different areas experience different levels of devastation and different, I don't know. It is. You got to use your intuition with that of who to listen to and who to trust.
Yeah. So yeah, October was,
it was wild. Yeah.
Really wild. And emotionally, energetically, like how are you feeling coming into this month?
I did a lot of purging work. I feel okay now, but it really did. I mean, there was one day where I think I cried all day long, just all day. I could not stop crying. My kids were like, "What's wrong with you?" You know, but it's like I had to release all the emotions that I was holding that were not just my own, but the people I was with, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a moment also where I was feeling so emotional and I did a story about it because I was like, I reminded myself, I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, because when we feel things, it's like, oh my gosh, okay, I got to go within, I got to work on this stuff, like whatever's coming up. And then like I automatically just thought that like, oh, I got to, you know, figure out what this is all about and work through it. And then I was like, oh yeah, like I'm an empath.
Yeah,
like
this is collective.
I'm gonna, yeah, this isn't even my, like I can heal and process through these emotions for the collective.
Yeah.
And the more that I can feel these emotions from the collective, the more space I have to like pray for everyone else that is really in it and suffering. Like I don't need to hold on to the pain and be in the sadness of it. I can feel it and be with it, but I can also like process through it so that I can be of a higher frequency and truly just like pray. Because when you're in a desperate, like heavy, and you're praying for peace and all that stuff, like it almost gets like muddled in all the muck. And so when you can clear out some of that stuff and then you're praying, then you really are praying from a higher vibration and like it just spreads across more.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And the other thing that I learned from this experience, I've never been so entrenched in like volunteering in a natural disaster before this. Yeah. And the thing that I learned is it's like nothing ever feels like enough. Literally nothing. I mean, I would volunteer all day long and I could still at the end of the day feel like, what did I even do to help? You know, and I know that I did. But it just reminded me of the power too of like, if you're not here, you can still like the energy of things is so important. And I know that we went through like cancel culture and I was like, oh, your thoughts and your prayers, we don't need that. We need your time, your energy, and your money. No, we really need both. We need both. We need the energy sent. That is just as powerful. So like, I hope the message I'm trying to get across is coming, but it's like, you can either be boots on the ground or you can be sending energy and it's all needed.
It's all needed.
It's all needed.
And that's where it comes down to like your own self-sovereignty, right? Like really honoring and trusting what, you know, donating or what you can financially and donating what you can energetically, you know, like, and being really honest and true with yourself and like, what can I give and how, you know, and just honoring that. and being non-judgmental about it for yourself and with others, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, hello November. Like we're really gonna be doing this. Like
Hello, November.
I'm just so curious about what the energy is bringing in, because as every month we can look back in reflection and be like, those cards were, and that message were spot on.
Yeah.
Like so supportive.
Yeah, they really are. They are. They're so helpful.
Yeah. So tell us about what's happening astrologically.
Okay. So currently right now we are in Scorpio season, and not a lot of people like Scorpio energy.
I
do. Yeah, I do. So as we know, the sun is moving over the constellation of Scorpio, and so that's shining Scorpio energy down onto us. Scorpio is such an interesting sign. It has, I think I talked about this last year on the podcast here. It has 3 evolutions of it. So we have the scorpion, which is reactive and stings when it is hurt and can be angry and can be reactive. And then we have the next iteration, which is the eagle, which flies above. And the eagle was actually the card we pulled last month. But, October has partly Scorpio season in it.
Yeah, that's right.
So the eagle looks above and can see things from a higher perspective. And then the third iteration of Scorpio is the phoenix, which understands that certain elements of us need to die in order to be reborn. So at the core of it, Scorpio energy understands death. It understands rebirth. It understands the cycles of time and the cycles that we move through and the power of transformation and alchemy. Scorpio is a really, really deep sign. In its lower vibration, it can be really damaging and hurting too. So it really represents this polarity and this scale of energy within it. All signs do, but I feel like Scorpio really does. The true depth that we can go to of transformation and alchemy is within Scorpio.
Yeah.
So also some themes that can come up with Scorpio are really deep ancestral healing, generational healing, which is really, really powerful, and heightened intuition. All the water signs are really intuitive, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. So you can lean into the veil being a bit more thin. Working with your intuition this month can be a thing because it's a little easier. So if you're listening and that's something you kind of struggle with or you want to get better at it, this is a great time to set that intention and to work with listening to your intuition because it's just going to be easier.
Yeah. I remember, because I forget that Scorpio is a water sign.
I know.
And then one of my favorite things you told me that I've shared this so many times with other Scorpio people or lovers or whatever. It's people that love Scorpios, not my Scorpio lovers, although I have plenty of those too. Scorpio is my husband's a Scorpio. Most of my best friends are Scorpio, so I really do have Scorpio lovers. But the meme that you mentioned about turning on the water faucet, but fire coming out of it, that's the perfect visual for a Scorpio, because they're so but then they're like
That is so Scorpio energy, for sure. Yes, it is a powerful energy. It is different from the other water signs in that I think Scorpios are most like a fire sign.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think there's crossover in different astrological signs. We could talk about that. And then, so the end of November, we will dip our toe into Sagittarius season. So Sagittarius is a fire sign. So we do move that energy is kind of strong through all of the end of October and November and a little bit of December. But Sagittarius is the seeker, the spiritual teacher, wanting to learn, wanting to expand horizons and perspectives. Sagittarius governs travel and higher education and learning. So if you feel called to that kind of towards the end of November, then you're just tapping into that collective energy of wanting to expand your mind. Travel is governed by that because we learn so much when we travel and see other cultures and other perspectives of life.
Yeah.
So, this holiday season is a big travel season too. So it's just interesting how it matches up and mirrors the collective too.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, and I mean, I for one am just feeling I have got the travel bug so bad. Like, there's so many places I want to go travel and explore, and I only want to go there to explore and learn more.
To expand
like,
your mind.
Yeah. So I definitely feel that and feel like I'm ready to step into that season, and I feel like December will be a month where I'm like start planning some of that trip.
I was going to say that if you don't actually travel during Sagittarius season, it's a great time to plan a trip because you've got that energy behind it.
Yeah. So I already feel that brewing within me. So I'm excited to see after my lame ass 2024 year of no travel. Going nowhere. I'm such a baby. Anyway, 2025 is a whole new ballgame. Hear me now.
Vaughn is wheels up in 2025. She's going.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about all this that is transpiring, and I love that in October you mentioned that about Scorpio season, because I kind of forget that the astrological signs change at the end of the month, because you just think the whole month is all about this is what it's going to be, but it's like there is a shift of energy there, and especially talking about like what we just experienced yesterday, and I mean, what a perfectly Scorpio season experience we just had with that Witchy Woman retreat. Like 100%. It was like, that was total Scorpio vibes. Total.
And I don't know about you guys, but this Scorpio energy feels strong. Like, first day of Scorpio season, like, shit comes up, because that is how we transmute. That is how we change. And that is how we shift, is like allowing the shit to come up. Yeah. So,
hence the Scorpio, the scorpion, the eagle, and the phoenix. Like, that is the energy that we are certainly working through right now.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well,
okay. Should we see what the cards are saying?
Yes.
All right. Well, as long as you are not driving, I would invite you to go ahead and close your eyes with us, taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Feeling a golden light of protection that is cast around us throughout all time and space, creating a sacred space here for this community of the Cosmic Healing Podcast. Asking that any lower level energies, including thoughts, feelings, beliefs, or spirits, would be outside of this circle of protection at this time. And calling in now our way showers, our guides and angels, archangels and ascended masters, past loved ones and benevolent ancestors, any beings of the highest vibration and with our purest of intentions are welcomed into this space. We set the intention to come seeking guidance for the month of November 2024. Our intention is pure. We come wanting to know how to flow with the energy that exists, rather than struggling or fighting or forcing against it. And I also invoke now the power of holy fire Reiki to be infused throughout this entire episode, so that simply in listening and hearing and receiving, we would each receive a cleansing and a clearing from this beautiful, gentle, holy fire that exists within each of us, to burn and release any resistance that we might be feeling to the energy that flows around us. And in any places where we have released and let go, I ask that the energy of unconditional love from God and the Divine Mother would come in to make us whole and complete in and of ourselves. We offer up our deepest gratitude at this time for these messages that are being received here today. And so it is.
So beautiful.
Thank you. All right, gonna shuffle these around. Oh, that one was wanting to come out. Oh, Vaughn gets to see that when we're in person.
Because usually I hear her giggle from the other scene, and she's like, I'm like, oh, what's it gonna be?
Okay.
Oh.
Well,
it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
It's cool. It's cool. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. Well, our first one that came up is one of my absolute favorite cards. Oh gosh, this is like a mirror. Okay. We have the owl card here. The owl card is about our physical body and receiving messages in the physical. And I'm going to read this to you. This is card number 8. And one of my very, very favorites. Sure, if you don't mind.
It's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And the owl card is a message that Vaughn always talks about too, about our bodies being the vessel and the channel through which spirit communicates with us. So that's what this message is about. An owl sits silently perched on a tree branch in the dead of night. This majestic bird observes all that is seen and unseen with precise instincts. The owl card grants you the sacred gift of feeling wisdom within your body. These birds have many adaptations, making them talented at surveying their surroundings and pinpointing prey. An owl's yellow eyes allow them to see at night, bringing the sun into the darkness. Their auditory capabilities, combined with the ability to fly silently, make them skilled hunters. Owls have such a high level of accuracy because they listen to both their body and intuition. When owl energy visits, you are asked to notice how your body is alerting you to the wisdom within. Pay attention to the clues your physical vessel is giving you. What is the body trying to say? The physical form in which your soul lives is a finely tuned instrument. It is deeply connected to your inner compass, and often the body will speak before the mind. If you've ever had physical symptoms in the presence of someone that you didn't trust, then you've already experienced this phenomenon. Your physicality was alerting you to the energy in your environment. The body is attempting to communicate with you now in an effort to deepen and expand your wisdom. Start by using your senses to observe the landscape around you, be it physical, mental, or emotional. Just as the owl does, rise above your circumstances and take inventory. Then quietly listen to your body, noticing where you feel tension, tingling, softness, pain, etc. Stay curious and open to receiving. If you're more visual, close your eyes and imagine an owl whispering guidance to you. In time, you'll learn to trust the body signals. Owl is here to model inner certainty in the vessel as you claim it for yourself. And the reminder is, the body is a finely tuned instrument which is deeply connected to your inner compass.
Well, this card is speaking my language. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's everything that I teach and encourage, honoring that inner wisdom. And one thing that I say all the time is your body is the only way your soul has to speak to you and through you. Like,
what other way
is there? It's literally the only way. There is no, even if it's like coming from the ethers, even if it's like an intuitive hit that's coming from somewhere else, like it's still, you can only receive it through your body. Like right. This is the only way. And we have become so disconnected from our body and trusting our body and honoring our body. And it's just, in my program that I'm doing right now with the Holy Breath Method Facilitator Training, the body is truly everything that I'm speaking to. When we're talking about the breath, when we're talking about the voice, when we're talking about the body, the intuition, the energy, everything, it's all comes back home to the body in this vessel that we are experiencing right here, right now. And to be able to embody the wisdom and move forward in that way. But it just, the trust that it takes to be able to get to that place of embodiment and trusting, right? Like it takes so much work and experience and doing the crazy things and, you know, that may or may not work out. And trusting, you know, you have to fail to be like, okay, well, that didn't work, you know, but yet we're so judgmental towards our failures. And it's like, oh, I'm a failure, you know, and so that's really a change in the mindset of being like, I'm not a failure. Like I learned so much from that experience and just being able to offer that compassion to yourself.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I just feel like that we are shifting from a place of just like knowing in our mind. Like it's one thing to be wise and know things in your mind. It's another thing to embody that and to exude it and to make decisions based on that. Because when your body is holding on to trauma or past unprocessed emotion, then there's no space in your body for that wisdom to take up space. You know, so it's like that's why healing and clearing out and really doing the work, it's like you can't have the expanded consciousness and wisdom that is available to you when you're still holding on to a bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
So I mean, like, and I think it's really interesting, like this card coming up, you know, close to the holidays, where we will have so many opportunities to make decisions of what we put in our vessel and how we choose to honor it. And, you know, like just, yeah, I think that that's also interesting because we are being called to clean things up within.
Yeah, we are. And, you know, I think I did a lot of like research on diet culture and listening to the body several years ago. And something that has totally stuck with me is that diet culture and having to follow a rigid, strict diet teaches us not to listen to our body. Because it's like, oh, I'm going to follow this diet no matter what my vessel needs.
Right.
You know? And it takes years, I feel like, and years of unlearning that in order to be able to listen and hear what the body actually needs.
Yeah.
You know, it's just our culture and our society has like set us up to really not hear our
absolutely.
Body, you know?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yep.
Not that I want to blame anybody, but like we really are.
And there's that also in October, I follow the Food Babe. Do you follow her?
No.
Her name is Vanny. I can't remember her last name, but she is big. Like she did this huge, I've been following her for years, but she did this huge campaign, got like over $400,000 signatures for a petition to Kellogg's to remove food dye.
Yes,
you know,
I do know about this.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's huge. And I'm just thinking about her, and Kellogg's ended up not letting her in and would not meet with her, with all these people that traveled from so far and were like outside, like at the Kellogg's headquarters and challenging and like asking, all we're asking for is like no food dye.
Right.
You know, like in Europe, if you see the ingredients list versus, and this is with like McDonald's, it's all the big brands, which are all controlled, you know, by, it's like so deep. It goes so deep.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, but like, I'm just going back to that, like with the way that we have been just fed all of this shit our entire lives and just literally fed, you know, in our actual body, but also the bullshit, you know, like the lies and the deceit. And it's basically saying, we don't care about you.
Right. We just want to make money.
Yeah. You're like, you're not worthy. Actually, we don't really care about you. And so I love this movement that is happening. And it takes bold, brave people like her and like the physicians that are coming out more and more, you know, talking about medications, prescription medications. And I mean, I just have so much respect for these people that really come out and are brave enough to speak up like that.
Absolutely, because that's what we need.
Yeah,
we need whistleblowers, you know.
And it's very inspiring. You know, like for me, I'm like, okay, if they can be so bold and brave, like, well, like why? When am I not speaking? You know, like all I'm trying to do is like teach about feminine energy and reclaiming it, right? Like, it's not like I'm like even going up against the government or anything. I'm just like,
in a way
in a way I am, but like the way that I'm like speaking to the woman, I'm not even trying to speak to the government. I'm like speaking to the woman. And sometimes I'm like even scared to speak to other women for fear of their rejection or their judgment or their like, you're wrong, you know, and or like, you know, like, because it really is, you know, so, but it takes big, bold, brave people to change things.
It does.
And there's more and more of them and us that are speaking up.
Yep.
You know, and it's just, it's exciting to witness.
It is.
Yeah, whether it's with the food industry or, you know,
whatever
any industry, right? Like it takes a reclamation.
And listening to the body.
Yes, and like going back to the body and listening to the body of like honoring what feels right, and because we know, you know, we know.
We make conscious choices to not know.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh yeah.
You know? Well, that's an interesting conversation that actually leads into the next card too, which is really interesting. So the next card that we have is the Sand card. And this one is about the reminder that in order to change something, you don't have to do this massive overhaul like right away. So this like fits right into this actually. Well, let me just read it to you.
Oh yeah.
Should I read it?
I love it when you read it.
I love when I read it too, actually.
We haven't pulled this card in a long time.
We have not. And this goes so deeply with honoring the body and listening. Okay, so this says, rippling waves of sand stretch out endlessly in a desert landscape. Each individual grain weighs next to nothing, yet when multitudes are put together, tremendous weight is created. This kind of energy is grounding, stabilizing, and secure. Sand brings the message that consistency is called for at this time. Each grain represents taking one small action in the name of devotion towards something that is desired or needed. These grains of sand will build over time into something so magnificent that you can't even fully imagine it now. A castle of your own making awaits for you on the horizon. It is time to release any resistance you feel about taking steps forward. Let go of the notion that you must do anything to the full capacity or else it isn't worthwhile. I want to read that again. Let go of the notion that you must do anything to the full capacity or else it isn't worthwhile. Doing something to move your progress forward, no matter how small, still creates consistency and devotion. Take action today towards something that you are working to accomplish. Maybe your goals are centered on your career, relationships, etc. But this card also speaks specifically to caring for your physical body. I forgot I wrote that in here. When the vessel is honored and nourished, it can function as a temple for the soul, which quickens your progress in all areas of life. So while being consistent is undeniably difficult, the end results that you seek will be worth the effort. Using grounding practices can aid you in building consistency. Some ideas might include walking barefoot on the earth, breath work, hiking, meditation, etc. Any activity that helps you feel grounded, secure, and stable is helpful at this time. And the reminder says, dedicate a tiny grain of sand today to build a temple tomorrow.
Damn. I have so much to say.
Go.
Number one, I love the word devotion.
Me too.
I feel like that is so much
word.
that is missing. It's one thing to sit in meditation and do the meditation. It's another thing to be in like in that sacred time. All right, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, have a meditation, their meditation time or their whatever their protocol looks like in the morning or whatever. I feel like it's become very structured and it's missing that word of devotion. Like if we can just remove, I'm going to go meditate, you know, I'm doing my meditation. Like what if we made that time our devotion, our devotion to ourselves, our devotion to spirit, our just devotion to whatever you are devoting to, you know? And it's so, I just really feel like this is a strong message that is coming through as so many of us are feeling the call to a deeper devotion. You know, like I really got reacquainted with that word devotion over the summer when Isis legit came to me and she was like, sit with me in devotion for 30 days. And I was like, okay, I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but okay. And I showed up for 30 days, really honestly not knowing each day what I was going to be doing, but she showed me every day. Like, so point here is I feel like we get so caught up in our mind of like, this is what I need to be doing. And again, that's our mind creating that structure. And what devotion is you are just surrendering your spirit at the altar of the divine and saying, show me what is possible, guide me, lead me. You know, like a devotion is a time of deep gratitude to give and receive. Right? So, but then we get a little tripped up because it's like, well, I can't meditate or I can't get there. Again, devotion equals practice. Like you gotta intentionally sit with that energy and in that space to create the time for devotion. You know, like it becomes a practice. Because believe me, when that 30 days of devotion was over, guess what girlfriend did? Nothing. You know, I did not continue my devotion. So please don't think I have it all figured out by any means. I was like, okay, Isis done. 30 days was great. Thanks. But I'm halfway joking, halfway serious because I was scared. Like at the end of that, I was like, well, Isis, what do we do now? Like, I love this time with you. And so even though my time with her and with spirit shifted, I did, it instilled like a new level of devotion in my practice. Yeah, it really truly did. But it took her saying, sit with me in devotion for 30 days to remember and to connect back to the energy of what devotion really is, of honoring the divine.
Absolutely. And I think what you're trying to say too is like that the devotion can change over time.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So at first it was 30 days and then it shifted to something else.
Yeah.
And that's why I read that one sentence twice, because sometimes we're like, oh, well, I don't have the full 30 minutes or the full 60 minutes to meditate or to do my practice. So I'm just not going to today. And like, honestly, Spirit would rather hear from you for 5 minutes than not at all.
Yep.
So it's like, what can I give today to this devotion? Yeah. What can I give to myself to this devotion? If it's your 30, 60 minutes, amazing.
It's a commitment. It's a devotion. Like
showing up.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Because I was all in for those 30 days. Like I was not, no matter what time, there were so many nights where it was like 11 o'clock and that was the first chance I had. But damn it, I was sitting with her and I loved it. And even though, like I said, exactly like you said, like it has changed, but at the end of the day, my devotion practice is different, you know, like, but it's still honoring who, you know, like what I desire, you know, like I'm still dedicated to myself to show up in devotion, no matter what that looks like.
There are times when we have to establish something and we need that rigorous, like every single day, all the time. And then there's other times where we're maintaining and we're just flowing with. And so like this card really seeks to take the pressure off a little bit, you know,
but also
to encourage,
encourage people to claim their castle, to build their castle.
You can
only build a castle with consistent.
You keep going.
Like building the groundwork, and then level 2, level 3, level 4. No matter how big you want your castle to be, right? So like you have to show up. Like it's not just gonna happen.
It's a message of both, but also don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect. This isn't about being perfect and checking a box and like I have this perfect meditation practice or whatever. Yeah. It's both. It's like you gotta do the work. But don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect about it either.
Right, yeah. Because the imperfection is when we actually learn what works and doesn't work, which leads us back to what we were just saying about try and fail. The failure will be like, oh, okay, well, that didn't work. So let me try something
Now I know.
different. Yeah. So you get to just, and also, like I mentioned this before, like when Ganesha came to me and was like, I'm going to turn your world upside down. I want to do a handstand every day. And so I did a handstand. He didn't tell me, like, he, she, I don't really know, whatever Ganesha is. The elephant. Yeah. He feels heat energy.
I think it is a he.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And so every day I was getting on my little handstand thing, and I was having major, this is so crazy. I was having major emotional releases while I was doing my handstands.
Wow.
I mean, but like that
you were
was
flipping yourself
because
upside
I was
down,
flipping
like,
myself
literally
upside down,
figuratively.
being able to see things from a totally different perspective. And so that was part of my devotion, was doing a handstand.
I love that.
Right? And so I was just, and I'd be like, this is crazy. What am I doing right now? Like I'd be upside down, like crying, and like, but it was shifting things within me. So that was my devotion.
Yeah. And like you said, the thing that you're doing changes, but the core of it is still to the end of the building the castle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like maybe one day you're laying bricks and another day you're doing the thing. Like, so it's going to be different, but it's all to the same end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Like our souls just so want to grow and to explore and to keep learning from our experiences and to heal past karmas and stuff like that, and generational shit and past life shit and just all the stuff. Like that's all our soul wants. And it's just like, oh, here's another opportunity. Like, oh, try this. Do. And it's like, if we just keep following it and then surrendering, and it's like leading us to each little puzzle piece is like putting also the castle together, the big picture of the castle.
Yes. Another example of this too is a year ago, I was working in devotion to Lilith. This is how I came into connection with her. I built an altar to her, like in my office, and I put things on it that represent her, certain colors, certain things. Every day for 30 days, I put a little container of apple juice on my altar. Apples are connected to her because she's from the Garden of Eden. Yeah. So I would put like a little cup of apple juice, and every once in a while I was like, what am I doing? Like, she's not a real person. Like, she's not drinking this, but like I was devoted to doing it, and I literally felt her like move through my life in those 30 days. I lit the candles for her, all of those things. So it's like there's just so many different things. It might be meditation, it might be headstands, it might be an altar, it might be who knows what. But I was calling that energy into my life by doing that consistently every single day.
Yeah. I feel like, I wanted to talk about the story with one of the girls in the regression yesterday, like what she experienced, because I feel like a lot of listeners can resonate with this. It was the one over here that was talking about how she's constantly like moving forward instead of up.
Oh yeah, this was really good.
So because I missed the first part of that story, and so I feel like you could explain a little bit better, like how she was talking about.
Yeah, I think she was talking about how in her mind she has always used the word deeper. I need to go deeper. I need to go deeper. And there was something.
So she felt like her going deeper was like being here in this physical world, moving forward in a way, but what she was missing was the spiritual connection of going up higher, like going up and connecting to the divine in that way. So she was like almost kept moving forward, searching in that way, and just realizing she just kept going like deeper and deeper and deeper, like into the ground, because she was so grounded into this life that she was like almost going down so deep that she was beginning to drown, right? Like, and so what she realized in the experience yesterday in the regression was that she's actually being called higher to lift her up, right? Whereas she's like, she never thought that she was worthy to like go higher because, and I know we talked about this, she and I, about her religious background of like, no, God is separate than me, like God is outside of me. So I can't go up there where God is, because that's for holy people and the divine and the deceased and only people that are in heaven, and so she there was a separation.
Yep.
And so in that separation, she was drowning in the depths of her humanness right here. Like, but I'm so seeking more, but I'm just going this way. And she was just going deeper and deeper and deeper into her despair, when really she was being called higher and higher and higher into the real dimensions of her divinity. Like, God was like saying, like, let me pull you up so you can hang out with me, instead of like pushing yourself down deeper, deeper, deeper.
Yeah, those were the words that she used. She was like, I'm so grounded that I've held myself back.
Yeah.
I've held myself down.
Yeah.
And it's time to expand.
Yeah, and she said, when she said that, and she's like, and now I feel like I'm drowning. And she's like, but now I feel like I'm being pulled up. Yeah.
Which was so cool, because the tarot card I pulled for her was the Page of Cups, which is about breaking the glass ceiling of expanding what's possible for you.
Oh my gosh.
It literally, in the Light Seers Tarot, it has a pig flying on it. And so it's like the When Pigs Fly card. Like, what would your life be if you could expand yourself so far that, like, this would only happen to me if pigs fly, but what if that was possible for you?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So it was like about flying and expanding and breaking that glass ceiling.
Yes. That's so cool, because I feel like so many of us we have been doing the work, and we are searching for deeper meaning of ourselves, but that deeper meaning of ourselves is really above us in the divine, like, and allowing, and that's why I feel like, like priestess energy and like goddess energy is so powerful, because we are humans and we're spiritual beings, so allowing that, so we have to be able to connect to that spiritual aspect of ourselves and be embodied in that, so we can be a happy, thriving human being.
And also the power that words are spells, and that the words we say are so important. Like, and this was just for her, like for you it could be different, but she really needed to stop using the word deeper and needed to use the word higher. Like, for you or someone else, maybe the word deeper is what gets you there, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But like for her, she had to make that shift, because the words we speak are really powerful, and they create and manifest.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
she had to make that shift.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like that was just such a good story to share, because so many of us really get stuck in the healing and in the like depths of it, but then bringing it back to like the devotion card, like that devotion meaning of, like, let's just devote to the divine within, and to do that, we're rising up.
Yeah.
And within that place is where all the answers that we seek are found.
Right. Exactly. It's so beautiful.
I know. So I love, those are two beautiful, beautiful cards. And I already spy what's next. So
I know, your favorite.
I love it. I really do.
I know
love
you do. You've really made a lot of peace with it. Yeah. I'm sure you guys can guess just from our conversation right now. It's the Chiron card. So the Chiron card does not have a long description, because most of what is in my guidebook is an individual message for you based on your Chiron sign. So I will put that in the show notes. I want you to go to your chart and look up where Chiron falls for you, so that you can get your own personal message around this. But essentially, Chiron is an asteroid that is called the wounded healer. It represents our wounding within. And we have lots of different wounding, but this particular wounding for Chiron, the way we heal our wound is through helping someone else to move through it. So this is about working on healing in November, and asking that people be placed in your path who are going through something that you have already gone through, offering your wisdom, offering what has worked for you or what has not worked for you. Releasing, letting, whoever comes on in your path has to have their own process, but offering your wisdom in a means to not selfishly heal, but to help heal them, and then it will come to you.
Hello, just the conversation we had this morning with our friend.
Yeah.
Like, that is a perfect example. One of the girls that was here at the Witchy Woman Retreat, she was working through a bunch of things came up during the day, and then she had a big dream last night, and so she's like, hey, can I call you on process through this? And the way that exactly what she was navigating through, and the way that Dana could, through her own personal, I mean, and this is like heavy stuff too that we're
Very
working
heavy.
like it's
Yeah.
very heavy stuff that we're working through. It's not like silly nilly stuff. Like this is like deep stuff. And the way that Dana was able to share from her own personal experience guidance to and for this friend was like I'm looking at Dana like as she's sharing this experience and the guidance of how she can support our friend, and I'm just like, my jaw's almost dropped. I'm like, what are the odds that all of this is coming up for this dear sweet friend of ours to be processing through and navigating through this heavy stuff? And here we have a beautiful real life example of how she navigated through this very same experience and could offer that guidance. I'm like, it's so beautiful and so confirming of the Chiron card. Exactly.
And divinely orchestrated.
And divinely orchestrated. And that you will not release or receive anything that you are not ready for.
Right.
It's true.
And when you ask to have people put in your path, they will be. I mean, I didn't ask for that necessarily. Like, I didn't set that intention is what I mean. But like, it happened naturally because we were both willing to.
Yeah, and it was so divine.
So
like,
divine.
I mean, the way that you helped her this morning was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. So, I just think that's a perfect example of that card. And I believe that with this card, and with all of the deep healing that everyone listening, because if you listen to this podcast, you're doing some deep healing shit, you know, like you're in the thick of it and you have a lot of wisdom and knowledge to share. So this card is giving you permission
to do that,
to be a healer, to be a guide, to be a lighthouse, you know, and to not be afraid to share your voice and your opinion, which, you know, that has so much to do with today's, you know, cancel culture and just like truly being straight up scared to say too much for fear of being canceled, you know, but that's where it really is inviting you to come back to, hello, your owl card, and embody the wisdom and just have that faith in knowing that that's who you are and what you believe is your truth, and that you have every right to share your truth. And it doesn't have to resonate with everyone, you know, because we hope that each person that you know, that we surround ourselves can be their own owl and embody their own truth and have that self-sovereignty, you know, of like choosing to believe, well, that resonates with me or that doesn't resonate with me, right? And so when we can stand in our owl truth and speak our true selves without the fear of rejection or getting canceled, then that is us also having faith in humanity, I feel like, on some level, you know, of being like, I trust me and I trust the will of thou shall be done or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because you're giving yourself up to the greater good of it all and using yourself as an instrument for healing for the collective and for yourself. That's what this is about. It's about doing something that's more than just yourself. A lot of times when I think when we do healing work, we're thinking about like, what do I need to release? What's within me? What do I need to let go? And that is so important because I do really believe that when we heal ourselves, we heal everyone else around us too. But this is also about like, how can I impart my wisdom? How can I make an impact with what I've gone through, with the pain that I've felt and healed and worked through, you know?
Absolutely.
And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't know what I would do. That's what your chart is for. That like, it will, the stars will literally tell you, this is what you're supposed to help people with. Like, that's why I love astrology and I love human design, because it's like, it's a little roadmap. It's a little cheat code. It's a little like, okay, well, when you're confused, this is what it is.
Right.
Like, for Vaughn, it's about self-rejection and it's about feeling like in your own personal, like, who you are and your authenticity and not being rejected. And
Oh, Lord, yeah.
mine is in Gemini. So mine is about having the courage to speak up. And a lot of my wounds come from speaking up and being told that I was lying or I was not correct or I didn't know, and continuing on anyway, despite what other people say and think.
Yeah.
And so we each have that.
Yeah.
You know, we each
Yeah.
have that.
I'm excited actually about this Chiron card because I feel like in October, I worked through a lot of my fears of, because my core wound to me feels like fear of rejection. Well, we had a little Kundalini class episode with my friend Cece, and I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast. Yeah, I just want to talk about this really quick because it was a really good experience for me. So we did this class and it was called Dancing with Our Shadow. Well, she guided us through this meditation where we were brought into like a ring, a fighting ring. And she's like, okay, so I'm like, all right, who am I fighting? I'm getting all geared up. And she then basically was saying like,
yourself.
Yeah. And it was like, she was guiding us like, all right, so what are the things that you are the most angry at? And so I was like thinking like judgment, people from a higher perspective, like pointing their finger down at me and being like, you're wrong. And it was like all about judgment. And so I was like, yeah, that's what I'm angry at. And so then of course, and I knew on some level this was going to come back and like bite me. Right. And so I'm like, oh shit. And then plot twist, she's like, okay, well, what you're fighting, like that's what exists within you, that is your shadow. And I'm like, shit, I'm still judging myself. Like after all this work, I'm still judging. And then it like through, I sat with that all week because I was like, wow, I'm really still judging myself. Right. Because if I wasn't judging myself, then who knows what I'd be doing. Right. So there is that layer of judgment. And throughout that week that I was processing through everything that was stirring within me, I realized that the judgment is the very thing that causes me to reject myself, because my judgment is like the thing that is saying no, like I'm rejecting myself through my own judgment. And I had not put my own personal judgment as the rejection of my deepest Chiron wound. So it's not even about being rejected from other people. It's about me rejecting myself.
Yeah.
So it was just so huge for me to have that revelation. And I feel like working with that energy and understanding how I have been rejecting myself via judgment. Now, especially with this card coming up, it's going to create so much more like freedom for me, because I'm really working with less self-judgment and rejection of self.
Yeah. It's one of the highest things I think we reach too. We have to let that go of ourselves to get to that next level.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as you know, like I'm going through like the deepest initiation of my entire life, and I cannot rise up to this next level that is calling me up. Like, and I don't even mean like in my business or anything. I just mean like in
your life,
in my life, in my own faith and service to myself, right? To my holy vessel and being. I cannot rise up to this place that I'm being called to rise up to when I am pointing a finger down at myself saying, you're wrong. That's not right. Who do you think you are? What are you doing? Like wrong. You're wrong. And that there is an aspect of me that is still doing that. And so just being able to witness that aspect of myself, that shadow, that Scorpio, like that feels a little more like bossy and spicy and stingy, and being able to transmute that. And so I feel like I am probably in the eagle phase of that right now, where I can see things from a higher perspective and be like, oh, I see now where you were doing this. And now hopefully in November, really working through the phoenix, and like letting it all burn down and just rise like a motherfucking
light it on fire.
Yeah.
Yes. I love this so
And
much.
I know it feels really good. Like just talking it out here, which is why I love podcasting, just so I can talk it out. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the space.
Yeah, so that feels really good, right? Because
Yeah.
it's amazing though how it takes time, right? Like it had been building in me. Like I wasn't prepared to witness my own self-judgment.
Mhm.
I could only see it in other people. Not that and that's the thing, like our ego is so cute. Like I was like, well, I don't judge other people. I wasn't really judging anybody else because I know when I'm judging other people is an invitation to be like, well, what are you judging within?
Mhm.
You know, and I was like, well, I'm not really judging anybody, but clearly on some level, there's a layer of judgment that exists as an overarching thing. So for me to be able to first witness it,
Yeah.
and so becoming self-aware and then transitioning from the self-awareness to the self-acceptance. Like I had to accept that that's kind of what I was doing. And then like, okay, fine. So like that first thing took a week, then the self-acceptance took like 2 weeks. And then the other part of like, like working through some of the shadow of it is where I'm at right now. Of like, okay, I can see things from a higher perspective. And so it takes time. I also just really, it's a freaking castle. It's of sand, like I'm building my castle. I'm picking up the sand pieces are all coming together so that I can, be this beautiful vision of a woman that's standing in front of my castle and saying, look at me. Look at what I just built. Look what I just did. Aww, I'm so cute.
So cute. And so powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah.
This is a nice segue because it's funny. The last time we talked about this, we were on a call discussing an offering.
Oh, yes.
That we have.
Yes. Dana and I are up to something fun. And it's so divinely orchestrated, of course, because that's the way we work. Like one conversation that we had, it was just like a spark of light. And it's like, oh my gosh, Dana. And then we were like, this is it. This is what we're doing. And then it's like over the next couple of days, it just like unfolded. Yeah.
And it's still evolving.
It is still very much
still
evolving.
Working with it.
Yeah.
But this is something that is coming to you all, and it's going to be really, really powerful.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to. No. Yeah.
Just know that this offering has to do with an initiation into an even deeper acceptance of yourself and your intuition, just like Fawn was talking about, releasing self-judgment. And this is about searching throughout time and history to reclaim the Divine Mother, to bring her power back, and to ignite that within yourself. So does that sound right?
That sounds great.
Okay.
And it's not just willy-nilly, like it is orchestrated so beautifully with like, that's the part that we'll do like the plot twist.
Okay.
Like it is so divinely orchestrated, like, like my hands, if you're not watching, it's like a full circle thing of like pulling it all together. It's like, oh my gosh, like boom.
It's going to
be so good. Yeah. Yeah, so
we had that mind blown moment when we
we're like
realized
what we're doing. It's like what was available. It's so good.
It's so good.
So we're creating all of that soon, and then we'll be having early bird opportunities, but then it'll begin in January.
Yes.
So stay tuned. I'm excited.
We'll be talking about it here on the podcast and on social media. You'll hear all about it.
Yeah. But, all right, what time? Oh, we're at an hour. Okay. Yeah, we're good. All right. So shall we wrap this up?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. This was beautiful.
Yes, it really is beautiful. And if I had to summarize all of these cards and like bring it back together, what I would say is that this month is about really building in your devotional practice, step by step, towards listening to your vessel, listening to the wisdom that is within you, cultivating and devoting yourself to that, and also to imparting your wisdom on those who need it, and asking God to place those people in your path that you can support and love on to continue your own healing journey as well as theirs.
Because that is full circle healing.
It's full circle healing. Yeah.
So good. All right. Well, thank you, Dana, for
you,
your
Vaughn. I
wisdom
love
and
you.
your knowledge
Thank
and
you
just
for having
sharing your everything with us. We love you. Thank you so much. And thank you to every single person that tunes in to this episode every month. I know it's a crowd favorite. I look forward to it. You look forward to it. And we're so grateful. So let's continue the conversation over in the Facebook group. And if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching till the end, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.